Welcome to another edition of the Philosopher's Stone, where the more you know, the less you know. And the more you know that the less you know, the more you know that you need to know. And the more you know what you need to know, the more you try and know. And the more you know that people that say they know probably don't know. You know? Let's see what Fred has for us today. And it says color theory. The thing that you don't need to know, or think that you need to know. Because every animal on the planet is instinctively using color theory as we speak. You're living color theory. But if you're wondering if there's a hidden power to being able to use color theory at your discretion, at your conscious will, you'd be right. It's a powerful tool, and it's worth knowing. Let's take a look. When people take a look at these famous pieces of artwork by Monet or Van Gogh, color is a central part of it. The color wheel was first invented by Sir Isaac Newton, who was able to figure out a way to systematically organize color. There are more advanced systems like the Munsell system here that are actually a three-dimensional view of it. We'll just be doing two-dimensional today. This is the color wheel that we'll be working on today to help you learn to mix and blend it. I use a little bit of a magenta and a cyan blue, which is more accurate to creating good colors, and then yellow, of course. Red, yellow, and blue is typically how we know it, but a little bit more of a pink or magenta color in your red and a lighter cyan blue will take you a long way. These are the three primary colors because no other colors can be used to mix them, but everything else will come out of mixing those colors. So if I flash forward here, this is a color triad, and it can be rearranged like any color in any direction in that triangle will work together as a pairing. So as this kind of comes about, you're going to see me blend the lighter color in with the darker color over the top. Some of the blending I'll do on a palette that's off to the other side here, but a lot of the blending I'll do what's called active blending, where I'm blending wet on wet. I'm allowing one color to go down and then adding a color over the top of it afterwards, and that's an easier technique for doing color blending. You just have to remember to start with the lighter color and slowly add the darker color in. So all of these colors have psychological effects. Green calms people down. It's a color of abundance. Yellow irritates people. If you're locked in a yellow room, you'll get angry and start fighting. But it's also the color of brilliance. Lawyers use yellow legal pads in order to help them come up with better ideas on the spot. Red is the color of dominance and passion and violence. Athletes in red are considered better players. They're also considered more likely to cheat. So it kind of evens out when they're going up against blue players. Color blue will allow you to retain about 20% more information when you're studying in a blue environment. It is a very self-reflective kind of process, like when you're looking at a blue sky. It's very solitary and somber and will help you come up with the big questions of life. However, blue can also be a depressive color in too much quantity, so you have to be a little bit careful with that. Orange will help athletes move about 20% more, whether that's weight or speed or duration. Orange tends to fool the brain into being energetic, and many athletes use like orange tinted glasses and whatnot during their workout routines. And what you're watching me do here right now is you're watching me start to blend up the different tints and shades. So a tint is when you add white to a color, and a shade is when you add black to a color. So going towards into the center, I'm making small shades of these colors. And out towards the outer edge, I'm adding a tint, I'm adding white to the color. Okay? And it's still technically the same color. When you're adding white or black, that's a neutral color that you're adding to it. So it's not changing the pigmentation really at all. It's just diluting it or dulling it. And that's an important thing to be able to do with your colors. Very rarely are you going to use color just straight out, like a straight out yellow, a straight out blue, a straight out green. That's not going to happen so much. Colors I haven't discussed: violet. Violet's a very complex color. It's a color of intelligence, royalty, villains. So you have to be a little bit careful with that. But it's that deep somberness of blue with the ambition of red, and you get violet, a complex color. Go Wildcats, right? We're not simple. And in the center here, I'm blending all of the brown up together. Sorry, when you add those combinations of colors together, you get a brown. And you usually have to have a little more yellow and a little more red than blue in order to get the flat brown. So I'm going to go ahead and go over some color combos now. And the color combos are really what you're going to utilize most. Once you have a working knowledge of the color wheel, then you're going to start working on those color combos. Analogous colors, what we're looking at right here, right now, and those are found right in a row on the color wheel. So we're looking at the warm cool pop off to the upper right there. That's anytime you have colors that are cold, such as violet, cooler greens, versus warmer colors, yellows and oranges. Monochromatic is used much of the time, and that's that tint and shade again. And that's, you know what, black and white tints and shades value structures always trump color. So you're going to need that more often than not. Okay, and you can see that in those greens there, light green to medium green to dark green, all just with white and black. So moving forward into triad colors here, we've talked about that. I showed you that in the very beginning. That is the red, yellow, blue is a triadic color, and it's not. It doesn't have to just be red, yellow, blue. Obviously, you can spin that triangular structure and find different colors on that color wheel to make triad colors, and they always go well together. So these color combos, they're colors that work well together in the color wheel. It doesn't mean that other colors can't work well together, just that these are known color values that work. So such as this, complementary, straight across from each other. Okay, and split complementary, which I really like, which is where you would take, you know, like a blue, and then you go yellow orange and a red orange. And I should talk a little about the tertiary colors. So your primaries are red, yellow, blue. Your tertiaries are in between the secondary colors, which are, the secondary colors are orange, green, and violet, right? And then what's in between an orange and a red would be a red-orange, and that is a tertiary color. There are more tertiary colors than there are primaries or secondaries, which there's only 3 of each of those. So checking out teradic color, and that's where you have kind of just a crisscross with one color in between each. So like red and orange. And anyways, this is a color square. Color squares are anytime there are 2 colors in between each on the wheel. So it would go orange and then red, violet, and then blue, and then yellow, green, and that would be a square combination of color that you can see in that bottom left there. And what I'm working on now is some thumbnail approach to these jellies, the jellyfish, and this is a warm, cool pop. So when you have a working color wheel or a color combo kind of scenario, you start to understand, play with color. It's about using it intentionally, such as a cool background in order to make the jellyfish pop. I'm going to do a little more subtle version of that now. I'm going to get into a landscape, but I'm going to use cool colors in the background, and I'm going to advance the colors. I'm going to warm them up as it comes towards the viewer, and so we're going to get a little bit of a hierarchy of 3-dimensional perspective. Warmer things advance into the foreground. Cooler things fall back into the background, right? And so I'm going to create a warm, cool structure here. The greens up front are going to be dark, but I'm going to light up the trees a little bit with some yellows to help pull them out into the front. Thumbnail paintings are really important before you start your final work. Everybody wants to just like jump right into the amazing painting, right? But the truth is, you need to like play with it. You need to have a few thumbnails to look at those color structures before you ever start. Darkening up some contrast into the jellyfish there. And then I get these two little thumbnails that are done. It's a quick way for me to assess my colors and whether I like them or not before I ever start a larger final piece that may take, hundreds of hours to complete. So there we have the finishing of my color layout. Every artist should have some sort of layout like this. Here's a brightening and a dulling of the colors, so you can kind of see, what you could do with those colors. Even once you have all those colors, even turning a black and white can help you understand those value structures. So always make sure you have an understanding with color. Thank you for watching, and try building your own color palette before you start your next work of art.